You are tuned in to the LowBand Show, broadcasting from the storm drains under the big city, where a tunnel crew runs this booth on salvaged gear, pipes humming, steady water dripping, piping surface science and tech news on a low-band signal through the drains. I'm your host, Max Hertz. Welcome in. Here's what we do. We take real science and tech news from the surface, summarize it, then go deeper to educate, entertain, and shed light on what's in store for our collective future. News from the net, clear signal, and a little tunnel. If you came for hype, you took a wrong turn at the storm drain. Welcome in. Max Hertz here, bringing you the latest from the surface. Wiz, good to have you in the booth today.
Good to be back, Max. Always ready.
Today, we're tracking a potential evacuation on the ISS due to an air leak and looking at some fascinating new research on bees using tools. Plus, there's turbulence in the crypto market with Bitcoin's dip and a Zcash bug. We'll also cover Google's massive deal with SpaceX for compute and their new commitment to water replenishment at data centers. Let's get into it. The Guardian reported June 5th, 2026, on a serious development regarding the International Space Station. This highlights critical space safety. Wiz, what are your initial thoughts on this?
This is a serious escalation. A worsening air leak sounds minor, but it's a structural integrity issue that could quickly compromise the station if not contained. Preparing for evacuation means it's beyond a routine maintenance problem.
NASA ordered astronauts on the International Space Station to shelter in their spacecraft and prepare for possible evacuation after a worsening air leak in the Russian Zvezda service module's transfer tunnel.
That immediate order to shelter implies a rapid deterioration of the situation. It shifts from monitoring to active threat response, making the leak an acute safety concern.
The 4 astronauts of NASA's Crew 12 mission on the station, 2 U.S. astronauts, a French astronaut, and a Russian cosmonaut, received orders from NASA Mission Control at 9:04 a.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. British Summer Time, on Friday to enter their Crew Dragon spacecraft and don their spacesuits. Wiz, for listeners who might not be familiar, what is the International Space Station, and what's the significance of the Russian Zvezda module?
The International Space Station is essentially a habitable artificial satellite, a multinational collaborative research laboratory in low Earth orbit. The Russian Zvezda module is one of its core components, providing essential life support and serving as a docking port for Russian spacecraft. NASA and Russia's space agency, Roscosmos, the station's 2 primary operators, have debated for months over the cause and potential fixes of small air leaks on board Russia's Zvezda service module. The air leaks have been relatively minor in recent months, but on Monday, the problem escalated from a pound of air per day to 2 pounds, 0.9 kilograms, a senior NASA official told Reuters.
That doubling in leak rate from 1 to 2 pounds per day is what likely triggered the emergency. It also highlights the long-standing debate and the challenge of diagnosing and fixing structural issues in orbit.
Now, an update to this story from Bethany Stevens, a spokesperson for NASA, posted on X. Roscosmos has paused Friday's structural repair efforts inside the Zvezda service module transfer tunnel, known as PRK, as more measurements and data is assessed. Also, NASA has instructed the crew members inside the Dragon spacecraft to end the safe haven procedures and return to planned operations aboard the International Space Station. We look forward to working with Roscosmos on a collaborative approach to address the leaks.
The immediate threat has apparently passed. Roscosmos pausing repairs to assess more data is a prudent move, indicating they need a deeper understanding rather than a quick fix. This shifts the focus back to a collaborative, long-term solution.
So a tense situation on the International Space Station unfolded today, with astronauts preparing for evacuation due to an escalating air leak. But the immediate threat has been mitigated, and crew members have returned to normal operations. The underlying leak, however, still needs a collaborative solution from NASA and Roscosmos. We'll keep an eye on this developing situation.
Science reports on June 4th, 2026, that bees can use tools to solve problems, challenging assumptions about insect intelligence. Wiz, this could reshape our understanding of what a brain can do.
Well, Max, if tiny insects are picking up tool use, our whole definition of advanced cognition just got a serious update. It's a compelling challenge to the old instinct-driven narrative.
The bees were given an adapted version of an experiment that 100 years ago first demonstrated chimpanzees could work out how to retrieve an out-of-reach banana by stacking boxes.
So, tiny brains, big problems. The chimpanzee test for bees definitely shifts the baseline for problem solving across species. Quite a pivot from just reflex-based machines.
In the latest research, bees were shown to be able to roll a polystyrene ball to a specific location and climb onto it in order to access an artificial flower on a low ceiling. Dr. Olli Lukola, a behavioral ecologist, led this. Wiz, for listeners, where is the University of Oulu, where Dr. Lukola is based?
The University of Oulu is in Finland. Lukola's point is fascinating. It's not just about tool use, but spontaneous problem solving. This isn't instinct. It's a flexible response to a novel situation.
The findings challenge the long-standing assumption that insects operate purely on instinct and mindless trial-and-error learning. Dr. Lukola said, most people think insects are reflex-based machines. Some people don't even realize that they have brains. I hope that these results change the worldview about that.
That's a bold statement, but flexible solutions to novel problems really undercut the reflex-based argument. It shows complexity isn't always about size. Our intelligence definitions often need recalibrating with new data.
So bumblebees are demonstrating a capacity for tool use and spontaneous problem solving that we're only beginning to understand. This is a reevaluation of what miniature brains are truly capable of. The headline promises a lot. Let's see what the paper actually says. CoinDesk reported on June 5th, 2026, that Bitcoin briefly fell below $60,000 as a Zcash bug rocks crypto. This story highlights significant market volatility and a critical vulnerability. Wiz, what's your initial take?
This combines two major crypto headaches. Bitcoin's correlation to broader markets shows it's not a complete safe haven, and the Zcash bug is a fundamental integrity concern, a much deeper problem.
Bitcoin briefly fell below $60,000 on Friday, extending its weekly loss to nearly 20% and threatening to fall below $59,000, reports CoinDesk. Crypto was also hit by a 40% plus plunge in Zcash after Shielded Labs disclosed a years-old bug that could have allowed undetected counterfeit ZEC creation.
A 20% weekly drop for Bitcoin is notable volatility, but the Zcash disclosure is far more critical. The potential for undetected counterfeit creation means the underlying trust in the token's supply could be completely undermined. That's a catastrophic vulnerability.
Now, with stocks in plunge mode, the Nasdaq down nearly 4% on Friday, Bitcoin finds itself perfectly correlated. Short-term, Bitcoin feels like swallowing broken glass, wrote Jeff Swanson Friday. Wiz, for listeners who may not be familiar, what is Zcash? Zcash is a cryptocurrency focused on privacy, using advanced cryptography for shielded transactions that obscure transaction details. It's designed to offer a higher degree of anonymity compared to many other cryptocurrencies. Earlier, Shielded Labs, a nonprofit developer on the privacy token system, disclosed a critical vulnerability in Zcash's Orchard privacy pool. This bug, if exploited, could have allowed an attacker to create an unlimited number of counterfeit ZEC tokens, completely undetected.
That's the nightmare scenario for any currency, digital or otherwise. The ability to create unlimited, untraceable counterfeit units eradicates any scarcity, and by extension, any value. A 40% drop for ZEC is a proportional market reaction to such a threat.
Importantly, the vulnerability was discovered with help from Anthropic's recently released Opus 4.8 AI model, raising difficult questions for the entire crypto industry. On Wednesday, the Zcash Foundation said the vulnerability was caught before any known exploitation occurred. There is no evidence of unauthorized value creation.
The AI discovery is fascinating and unsettling. It implies a new frontier in both security and exploit generation. The critical detail here is that no exploitation occurred, and the Zcash Foundation confirmed the total supply remained intact. That prevents immediate collapse, but highlights a new class of risk.
So Bitcoin takes a hit from market correlation, and Zcash narrowly avoids a catastrophic supply integrity failure thanks to an AI. This story underscores the inherent volatility and the constant, evolving security challenges facing the crypto world.
Let's put a frame around this. A massive compute deal, reported by TechCrunch on June 5th, 2026, could significantly impact the AI infrastructure landscape. Wiz, Google is set to pay SpaceX almost $1 billion a month. TechCrunch reports that ahead of its upcoming IPO, SpaceX announced that Google will pay the company $920 million per month for access to roughly 110,000 NVIDIA GPUs and related compute infrastructure.
That's a staggering figure, even for these players. It signals Google's intent to aggressively scale its AI capabilities, even if it means renting from a competitor like SpaceX. And for SpaceX, it's a huge boost for their public offering pitch.
Google describes this as short-term bridge capacity to meet demand for Gemini Enterprise. Wiz, for listeners who may not know, what exactly is an IPO?
An IPO, or initial public offering, is when a private company first offers its shares for sale to the general public, effectively going public. It's a major fundraising event. The fact SpaceX has this deal ahead of its upcoming IPO means they are showing strong revenue streams to potential investors.
This deal echoes a previous agreement. The deal is similar in length and scope to the one SpaceX announced with Anthropic in late May. That deal saw Anthropic paying SpaceX $1.25 billion per month for access to its Colossus One data center.
Anthropic was significantly compute constrained, so that deal made sense. Google's situation is different. They're already one of the largest owners of AI compute. This bridge capacity suggests a demand surge for something like Gemini Enterprise that's outstripping even their vast internal resources.
Both the Google and Anthropic agreements include a cancellation clause. Both SpaceX and Google have the option to terminate the agreement with 90 days notice after December 31st, 2026. This offers flexibility, but also introduces a degree of uncertainty.
A 90-day cancellation clause provides an exit ramp if the market shifts or internal capacity comes online sooner. For Google, it means they're not locked into a long-term commitment. For SpaceX, it's revenue now, but they'll need to demonstrate continued demand to investors.
The details show Google's access will ramp up through September at a reduced fee, with penalties for SpaceX if committed GPUs aren't delivered. It's clear Google is prioritizing speed and reliability in securing this compute power. Wiz, what's the broader takeaway here for AI development?
The takeaway is that access to high-end compute, particularly NVIDIA GPUs, remains a critical bottleneck for advanced AI development. Even the biggest players are scrambling for capacity, highlighting the intensity of the race and the premium placed on infrastructure.
A fascinating glimpse into the high-stakes world of AI infrastructure, with Google making a significant short-term investment to keep pace with demand. Wiz, thanks for breaking down the implications.
Google reported on June 3rd, 2026, with the headline, Google says it will replenish more water than it uses at data centers. This speaks to the increasing scrutiny on AI's environmental footprint, Wiz. There's been a lot of pushback in recent months around the impact of AI data centers on local communities, with the use of water being a key issue for many. Google, in an expansion of its water stewardship programs, is making commitments that include replenishing more water than it uses at its data center sites.
Right. The spotlight's on. And water stewardship is a nice way to frame what's fundamentally a resource management problem driven by the thirsty nature of AI. They're responding to direct community pressure.
Google outlines 5 new commitments for U.S. data centers, including replenishing water, modernizing local infrastructure, using air-cooled solutions in at-risk watersheds, transparent reporting, and focusing on alternative water sources.
That's a comprehensive approach, going beyond just their own direct consumption. Modernizing local infrastructure and transparent reporting suggest a deeper engagement than just PR, which is a positive sign.
A linked paper states Google will replenish 120% of the water it uses at data center sites by 2030. They are also committing $17 million to new water stewardship projects across 7 U.S. states, adding to 165 existing projects.
120% is an ambitious target. It's like, we'll not only pay our tab, we'll buy the next round, too. The $17 million and 165 existing projects show significant scale.
So Google is setting an aggressive goal to not just mitigate, but actively exceed water replenishment for its data centers, backed by substantial investment, a clear move towards sustainability. That's our rundown of the latest signals from above today. We started with a tense situation aboard the International Space Station, where an air leak prompted evacuation preparations, though the immediate threat was contained. Then we delved into the surprising world of bumblebees, who are proving their capacity for tool use and problem solving, challenging long-held beliefs about insect intelligence. The crypto market saw Bitcoin fall as a critical Zcash bug was narrowly avoided thanks to an AI, highlighting the constant security challenges and volatility in that space. We also looked at Google's significant investment in SpaceX compute power, underscoring the fierce demand for AI infrastructure. And finally, Google's aggressive new goals for water replenishment at its data centers, a clear step towards greater sustainability. Many open questions remain across these threads, from ongoing space station safety to the ethical implications of AI and security. We'll keep our ears to the ground for more updates and deeper dives in future sessions.
It's certainly a lot to consider. If we missed an angle or you have further questions on these topics, please drop us a comment. We read them down here in the tunnel. And if this signal helped you stay informed, a like or subscribe keeps the pipes humming. More surface news and deeper dives are coming through the grate soon. Until then, stay curious, and we'll catch you next time on the Low Band Show.